Dave from cheapwinefinder.com again. And with another companion podcast, we do wine reviews. We're an independent wine website, been doing it for going on 12 years. And we have a couple thousand wine reviews on our website, and there's stuff to read and pictures to look at and puzzles. We have lots of puzzles. No, we don't have any puzzles. But that's what we do. We're cheapwinefinder.com. And we also do this thing where when we do a wine, we try to expand on it a little bit by talking about it. Not for long, 10 minutes maybe. Maybe that's too much. But, hey. So what we have today is kind of an interesting wine, kind of a fun wine. It is from CasaSmith. I'll explain who that is. It's the ViNO Rosso 2016. I do believe that the current vintage is 2017, but it's got enough oomph to the wine that it'll last a few years, so 2016 is good. And another thing is 2017 is made completely different. One of these things about Charles Smith's wines, that the different vintage actually calls for different sourcing of the grapes and different production techniques, which is something that you only get in boutique wineries, and these are wines that are basically available coast to coast. One of the things I found is that I accidentally downloaded the 2017 vintage tasting notes. I forgot I had the 2016. And so I was looking at that, and wait a minute, and I got the right notes, and every single vineyard was different. The 2016, this one I'm drinking now, was aged for 9 months in oak, 35% new. 2017 was in stainless steel. So it's like, okay, this is a completely different wine. The ViNO Rosso is CasaSmith is Charles Smith's wines of substance brands. He's got several brands. He used to do Charles Smith wines, which was Kung Fu Girl Rieslings and Boom Boom Syrah, and they had a bunch of ones, different wines that are very popular. He sold it off the Constellation brands. Now he's concentrating on these wines. And this is his homage to Italian wines. And this is the ViNO Rosso is a Washington State version of a Super Tuscan. And I'll explain what that is. And he has other wines too. And so that's Charles Smith. He used to do house wines. He had a couple of different things. When they get super popular and it's hard to keep them going, he sells them off and takes the money and puts it into something else, and which is maybe why you can have the luxury of putting boutique details in a wine. I think I found this for $11, and it's a Super Tuscan. What is a Super Tuscan, you ask? Oh, hopefully you know, because if you've tasted them, you know they're really good. But in Tuscany, Chianti was a super popular wine for a long time. And, if you ask your grandma, she probably had a wine bottle with the straw around it, and it made it into a candle at some point. That was Chianti. And when it started to fall off in Tuscany, the popularity does, because most wines ebb and flow in popularity. The producers wanted to make some changes, but in Europe, everywhere in Europe, there are wine governing bodies who have strict rules and regulations. They're there to promote the wine and to keep the quality high. If you talk to the winemakers, they say, nope, it's a good thing. It keeps everybody on the same page, and it doesn't tilt the playing field for anybody. But in Chianti region with Sangiovese, Chianti is made with Sangiovese grapes. The winemakers thought it was holding them back. It was time to innovate, and they weren't innovating. So a couple of them decided to grow Bordeaux grapes, or mostly Super Tuscans mostly added Bordeaux grapes, or maybe Syrah, which was Rhone grape, and just give it a try, see what happens, because they're going to make a more French style. Because at that point, Bordeaux was starting to take the place of Chianti a little bit in people's in people's minds. And so what they were doing worked. And they liked the results so much, they started putting the wine out. Problem is, wines that don't conform with the rules of the DOC, DOCG, the DOCG is the highest one. The G stands for guaranteed. Of the wine governing bodies, you got to put table wine on your label. In California, everything from the most expensive Napa Valley wine to jug wine, that's all table wine. They don't do that in California, but in Italy you do, and it means something. So they're putting out these wines from very high-end Tuscan vineyards that were selling as table wine, but they still had $40, $50, $60 price tags on them, which was a problem for the DOC's, DOCG governing boards because the table wines were outselling the expensive wines, and that's not good when you're trying to promote wine that, I can get, what are you guys doing when this stuff is better? So they made the IGT, I think it's IGP now, and in France it's Vin de Paz designation, which means it's a wine of the region, very indicative of the region, but it doesn't cover the rules, doesn't do all the rules. And there are some rules for IGT wines too, but it's, a lot more open for what you can do. And if you can't keep it within the IGT ones, then you fall. If you can't keep those rules together, then you fall to table wine. But nowadays, people aren't as particular as they were. This is back in the 70s when they did it, and the thing just took off. And to this day, I think Wine Spectator's Wine of the Year was Super Tuscan. They don't really call them Super Tuscans as much. They're known by their brand names, but they're famous, and they're the only place you get them like really cheap, though, that you can get them under $20 is like Trader Joe's every so often. I think I saw one in Aldi for $12 that looked pretty good. But I'm going to take a sip of my Washington State ViNO Rosso from CasaSmith just because it's good. Make sure you let this one open. It's got a really nice velvety texture too, and the flavors really meld together. I tried this originally before I let it. I kind of popped the top and poured. Nah, don't do that. I had to do a few things to get it open. So this is CasaSmith's Wine of Substance, Charles Smith Wine's version of a Super Tuscan. This is a Super Washington. And it's 70% Cabernet Sauvignon, which is really one of the best grapes grown in Washington State. They do really good stuff there. And Sangiovese. And they do good Sangiovese there too. So it's 30%. This one, like I said, it uses natural yeast, which is the yeast that floats in the air and sticks to the grape skins. They don't add commercial yeast to it. It's 9 months in oak. This is a pretty good Super Tuscan. It's younger, bright. I think it's good for 3 to 5 years, which is not bad for a red wine. It's not simply a young wine. You can keep it around for a while. It will age a little bit. These drink it now wines aren't really designed to age, but sometimes they are. And I think this one might be. According to their tasting notes, they say, give it a shot. I just took another sip because I took one a little bit ago and I liked it so much I took another one. This is kind of a European wine in a way. I mean, it's got that European feel to it. It's bright. It's got good fruit. It's got some great acidity. It's got, exotic spices and different flavors going on. It's not just some red blends are like happy puppy dogs wagging their tail. They want you to like them. This one's a little bit harder edged, but beautiful. It's really delicious. It really tastes great. And for $11 wine, it kicks butt. Sometimes the difference between $10 wines and $20 wines, the grapes are the same for the most part, but the production is quicker and easier for 10 and a little more complicated for 20. And this is one of those wines that's somewhere in between that. They kind of, they didn't do this one quick and easy. It's got some flavors meld together. It's a stew of flavors. They didn't get rid of all the edges. There's still some edges on the wine. Sometimes for beginners, you try to get the people on sale for people who are starting out with wine, or just a casual wine drinkers. They take the edges off, and sometimes it's those edges that make the wine beautiful. And this is a really nice wine. It's a Super Tuscan. I like Super Tuscans. It tastes great. It's got great acidity. There's a story behind it. It's different next year. If you grab the 2017, it's going to be different than the 2016. It's probably good, though. I would imagine, probably next year, this time, I'll be doing the 2017 version over a 2018, maybe by that point. But there you go. That's it from us at cheapwinefinder.com. We're drinking Super Washington wines, which are a take on Super Tuscan wines, which are a tribute to the wines of Italy. And I'm a fan of Washington and Italy, and good for them and good for me because I'm drinking it. And adios, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.